Okay, so before getting started, I want to give you a quick overview of the whole project. So here is our layout. We will be passing these three name, phone, and address fields to our data store to save, and then will be retrieving the same information from our data store. After that, we have built our Gradle file, and here I have already added the required dependencies, and that is data store, lifecycle components, view models, and we will be using Dagger Hilt for dependency injection. After that, I have phone book class, data class actually. So when we will be passing information to the function that will be saving our data inside our data store, we'll be receiving a phone book object instead of keys. That makes it a lot easier for us to handle. After that, I have an abstract repository and then its implementation. So the reason I did that is that it makes unit testing a lot easier, because when you are writing unit tests, you don't have access to context. So instead of testing your data store, you should actually be testing your view models. So when testing this repository, you can create a test table and send mock result to your view model and test how your view model actually behaves to the data coming from data store. So that is why I did this. And then we have a data module that we will be using to pass the implementation repository object to our activity view model. So that is that. So let's just start working on our data store. So the first thing that we have to do is we need to give our data store a name. So let's create a variable here of a constant var data store underscore name, and the name is going to be phone book, same as our data class. After that, what we are going to do is we will be using a property delegate by preferences data store to create an instance of our data store preferences. So what it does is that makes the whole data store instance a singleton, and we can access it anywhere using context. So let's create the data store instance here. So val and then context of val context dot data store.
Sorry, I'm not able to make a phone call at this time.
Sorry for that. Okay, context dot data store, and then data store, and which type of data store that we want preferences data store. So make sure that you select data store preferences instead of Java utility preferences. Okay, so after that we will be using property delegate by preferences data store, and inside that we will be passing the name of our data store. So data store name. So this is all about creating the instance of our data store. Now let's create some keys for our data store. So the first key is going to be name. So to create preferences data store keys, there are different type of keys available. So if you want to store a string type of variable, you need to use a string preferences key. If you have int, then you need to use int preferences key, and same if you want to use boolean preferences key, so here you have to give boolean preferences key. So that depends on the type of variable that you want to store inside of the data store and which type is of the key. So we will be using string preferences key, and its name is going to be name, and then we will be using phone number, and its type is also going to be string. Sorry. Okay, let's give just phone, and then we have address, and it's also going to be string. So now we have all the three keys that we need. Let's implement our say phone book. So to edit a data store, we have a function called .edit. So what .edit does is that it transactionally updates the data inside the data store, and all the keys that you manipulate inside that .edit function is considered as a single transaction. So let's access our data store through the context that we've passed inside the constructor of our repository. So context dot data store dot edit. So here we get our phone book, and let's change. So here you have to pass the keys that we just created. So first key is name, and let me just add something here. Okay, I forgot to do this, and now are we clear? So phone book, and okay, this does not return anything, so does not need anything, but it returns a phone book. And let's change this a bit. Okay, so now we are good to go. So inside our name we will be passing the name from our phone book. So phone book dot name, I guess. Sorry, the wrong phone books. So this is going to be phone books, and this is going to be our phone book. So phone book, and inside phone books we need to update the phone number, and phone book dot phone, and lastly we need to add the address, or made a mistake up there. Let's just do it this way, phone book dot address. So what it does is that it gives you all the preferences that it has, and then you alter those preferences by getting in the preferences by their name and giving the value that you want to update against that preference. For example, we have the phone books preferences, and then we get the preferences against the name preferences key, and we update its value. So there, this is how it is done. So moving on to the next function, I actually did stop the video a bit and change the return type of this function to flow, because data store always returns a flow. It does not return a simple object, so it always returns a flow. So let's just make it a bit easier for us. So we are going to do the same thing, almost the same thing. We are going to get context dot data store dot data. So it gives you all the preferences again, like the edit function, and you can do a map function on it. And here, as you can see, we have got the preferences again. Let's just give it a name, phone book, and let's create a new phone book function, sorry, phone book constructor and object. And here we will be passing name, and we will accessing the name from the preferences again using the keys that we created. So it can be nullable, so if you think it can be, then you can do this, or give a default value, for example give it name Kashif, or if you are certain that it is not going to be null, then you can do this. So name, and then we have address, and we are going to do the same thing here, phone book, and then we are going to pass the address key, and again now we have to create phone and phone book and phone number. So this is how you save data to Datastore and then access data from Datastore. So these are two functions that we are going to need, that I have just implemented. So that is all that we are going to need for now. So we have stored the data into Datastore, and now we have function to get data from Datastore. So let's move on to our activity view model, and let's create a function here, and fun. First, let's just first do one thing and create three variables, where phone, that is going to be of mutable live data and of type string, and its mutable, its value is going to be empty for now. Well, let me just pause this video and come back. Okay, so I have added some variables here and connected them to data binding. Let's make a save data function. So here what we are going to do is we will be using our repository and save phone book, and we are going to create a new phone book variable, and we will be passing phone dot value and just do this address, and address dot value. Similarly for name, we are going to pass name dot value, and that is it. So this is how we are going to save our data inside our database, inside our data store. And similarly, what we are going to do here is that view model scope dot launch. And one thing that I always forget is that view model scope always runs on the main thread unless you change its dispatcher. So let's just do it this way. Other than that, there's nothing that we are going to get any better from Datastore. So again, we are using our repository and get phone book, so that is going to give us a flow. So let's select it, and then we will save it to our phone book dot post value, and we will pass it. So we have our save data function and retrieve data function. So let's now run our app. So what I'm going to do, let's just add my name 03 something. Let's my 127 dot. Let's just add some random address. So actually we don't know whether it got added or not, so let's just, okay, so our data has been added, and now we have our data retrieved as well. Let me just change this phone number so we can test it more. Okay, save it, and now we are going to retrieve it. Okay, I think I have made some mistake here, because name and phone number is coming as same. Let's just go to our save phone book function. Oh yes, so here we have phone book address and phone book phone number. Said no, I guess I think where did I make mistake? So name is name, phone number is phone, and address is address. I think I may have messed up something inside the layout. So phone number, view model dot phone, address, view model dot address. Yeah, there it is. Let's just change it to phone and let's rerun our app. Let's try to get our data. Okay, our data is now coming. All right, let's just change our name to code with K. Let's just give a random number here and then some random address and save it. So here we have our name and our address. So our code is working all right. So that is all about Datastore. So we have learned a lot today. If you want the code, you can get it on my GitHub link below. You can also read my Medium article that is also linked below. You can contact me on LinkedIn. You can contact me on GitHub, and I will always be happy to help. If you need any kind of help or have any question, feel free to reach me out. I have also linked my Instagram account too. So if you are on Instagram, you can DM me as well. So take care and thank you for watching.